in this last 3 weeks. Amon-Ra St. Brown matching Calvin Johnson and Herman Moore for the most touchdowns by a Lions receiver through the first 4 games of a season, with 6 already. In studio to assess this one, Joe Musso alongside Lige Duz. I'm looking at the numbers for the Lions here because it's an impressive defense for Cleveland.
Correct.
We've seen that week time and again. 277 total, 4.9 per play. You get a touchdown in the third phase, but still 34-10 coming off of what by their standards isn't the most explosive game. What do you make of it?
Moose, the score isn't indicative of how this game went. You talked about it. The third phase, special teams gets a punt return. Also on defense, you get a score. Let's not forget the DJ Reed interception. He gets tackled at like the 4-yard line and sets up a touchdown for Amon-Ra St. Brown. So a great defensive performance by the Lions. Now, you talked about this Browns defense isn't talked about enough because the offense struggles so mightily, but that Browns defense got after it. I know there were some headlines with John Morton, the offensive coordinator, saying, well, Myles Garrett hasn't seen our run game. And besides Jahmyr Gibbs, the Cleveland Browns showed up, and they mitigated the run. I believe they gave up just over 100 yards rushing, and it was less than 4 yards a carry. So they did what they needed to do on defense. You can't turn the ball over at that clip and expect to win games.
We're looking at Jared Goff, who was completing 73% of his passes coming into this game, finishes of 16 of 27 for 168, 2 touchdowns. You know, that offense is going to want to be more explosive, more efficient, but I'm looking at the Browns right now and trying to figure out what's your why. You look at the defense, and it offers you hope that you can flip some tables, move some chairs, as you like to say, and make some noise. But should the intention of this team right now to be find out what you have at quarterback? Is it time to see one of the rookies?
It's time, and I thought they should have started off playing some of the younger guys, right? You have 2 rookies, one you drafted in the 3rd, one you drafted in the 5th. It's time. Joe Flacco came out in my class in 08. And Moose, we were both looking at the TV when he threw that interception on a throwaway and saying, what are you guys can do? This Browns defense has kept them in games. Even the blowout loss to the Baltimore Ravens, that wasn't indicative of how that game went either. The Browns defense showed up. So you were saying, Moose, if you're a Browns fan, you're leaning on saying, we have a championship type defense or a really good defense. Why not see what these young guys have? Because we're going to be in a position with 2 first-round picks to potentially go get our guy next year if we don't have that current guy in the locker room. But the only way we can find that out, Moose, is if the young guys play.
Let's flesh it out one further. Do we go full JV split squad? Do we let both get reps? Do you have a name in mind you want to see first?
I think you have to roll Dylan Gabriel out there first just because that's how it was in preseason. He was the backup quarterback. He was efficient throughout preseason. Yes, I believe he only played in the 1 preseason game, but he looked really good in his time going out there with the offense. So I roll him out. But I'm like you. I'm JV it. Give them half and half. Right? If we have 14 games left or 13 games left, give them 6 and 7 games apiece, right? Now, again, if one quarterback goes out there and plays really well, you stay with the hot hand. But if he goes out there and struggles like most rookies do, why don't you see what the other rookie has as well? Because, again, with the draft capital you have, if you feel like you don't have the guy of the future in your locker room, you have that ammunition to go get your guy next year.
We saw it this week in New York. Let's find out. We'll see if it is time for those rookies in Cleveland as the Lions win 3 straight and improve to 3-1. All right, a look at the offensive excellence of the Detroit Lions. 137 points through 4 games. And that was after a slow start against the Green Bay Packers. Dive into coming out of this one. Jackson Dart, obviously a headline on the marquee coming into this game. So let's start there. The numbers, they don't dazzle, but the aura, the moxie was,
it was there.
Something that this team needed, and it looked like it bled over to that defensive side of the ball as well. How do you grade out Dart here in his first go?
For his first time rolling out there as a starter, I would give him probably a B+, right? Because he took care of the football, didn't turn it over. But the biggest thing for me, Moose, was he was pivotal on 3rd down. He was really good as far as using his mobility in the first half. We saw a big-time completion of Theo Johnson late in the game to bleed off some more clock as well. And the thing that I really loved was that he didn't track backwards. He stepped up in the pocket. And people will talk about, well, he was kind of banged up because he kept running with the football. But I love the growth of him stepping up in the pocket and using his mobility to throw the ball down the field and also use his mobility to pick up crucial first down. So I love what he did. You talked about his number 1 playmaker going down. That hurts a young rookie quarterback because that's a guy that's your safety blanket. You can lean on him. And for a majority of the game, he didn't have him, and he was still able to squeak out this win versus the Chargers.
You take me where I want to go next year because it's unfortunate to see. We're sitting with some Giants fans watching this game. The stadium, you could tell, too, had the air taken out of it after that Malik Neighbors injury. It's believed to be an ACL for the star wideout. You said it's going to affect the way that you develop Dart. Correct. What does this do to the offense? And also, you're well abreast to it. the turf at MetLife once again becoming a topic that we don't want to talk about.
Yeah, and again, you've heard players be very vocal about this, like take turf out of the NFL. And again, there is medical history or there's that guy where you can just throw a simple screenplay moves and he has the ability to take it 50, 60 yards, right? A simple stop route, 5 yards, and he can break a few tackles and take it the distance. So this is a major blow. Again, we don't know for sure what the injury is. We'll wait for the medical people to come out and diagnose that, but this is a tough blow for the New York Giants and more specifically for Jackson Dart.
Yeah, early look is a non-contact knee. You saw as he left the ground there. It's going to limit what this offense can do, but you come away with your first win of the season if you're the New York Giants, and it comes against one of the best teams
Correct.
through 3 weeks in the NFL. Let's go on the Chargers here for a moment. What limited the offense in this one? It was obviously a stout defensive performance from New York, but where did you see differences in the way that the Chargers tried to attack?
To me, it came down to the Giants' defensive line living up to what we thought they were going to be for the entire season. Like the first couple of weeks, everybody was touting this defensive line, including me, as the best defensive line in football, but we hadn't seen it. Well, we saw Big Sexy Dexy with an interception early in this game. We saw Abdul Carter get a sack. We saw Brian Burns at the end of the game essentially come and close out the game with a sack. We saw Kayvon Thibodeau constantly get pressure. So to me, the defensive line really took over, but also those young defensive backs played hard. Drew Phillips, he might be one of the best slot corners in football. He's played really well this year. Nobody's talking about him because the Giants have been losing games, but he had some big-time plays. That interception that really turned the game over. The Giants go on to score, take the lead, to extend the lead in that game. So I really love what the defensive line specifically did from the Giants, but I love what them young corners, how those young corners competed in the back end.
Coachable moments here for Coach Harbaugh, I'm sure, in a road loss against the Giants. Let's finish with a thought here on New York, because it's a fan base that's looking for something to celebrate. You have the hope of a young quarterback in Jackson Dart starting 1-0. You're going to want to see more. You're going to want to see the development. But I want you to write an open letter to Giants fans. Right? How should they feel after all that this day had?
I mean, the ebbs and flow of the NFL season were on full display for Giants fans today, right? Because you roll out your guy that is the future of your franchise. He gets you a big-time win on the national stage, and then you lose your top playmaker on offense. I would say this, you can live in solace knowing that you have your guy at quarterback. Now, again, it's only one game, Moose, but I love the way he played with poise. I think that's the biggest thing for a young quarterback, going out and playing with poise. He never seemed like he was under pressure. Even when there was pressure, he never seemed flustered out there. And again, I talked about the development and the growth of him stepping up in the pocket and not drifting backwards. You see so many young quarterbacks drift backwards, throw off their back foot. We didn't see any of that from Jackson Dart. Now, again, it hurts because he doesn't have his number one playmaker, but you have to love how your young quarterback went out there, competed, was banged up, clearly wasn't 100%, but continued to compete.
Dealing with a hamstring in the midst of this one, also was looked over by the independent neurologist for what was a knee to the head, came back in this game. He is a gamer. I know there are the intangibles, the unmeasurables, but Jackson Dart certainly has much of that, and he has his first career NFL victory.